Well, I think that you want to look at monetary policy from a more technical perspective, and also you want to look at it in terms of this thing just didn't happen in a single month. It's over a certain period of time, and you are looking at it that the central bank ought to be proactive, both in terms of the projections, the assumptions, and all of that. The losses we are talking about here is not just technical. There is actually a 50% haircut on principal. That is not going to be paid back. That is not going to be paid back.
But how is that the fault of the central bank?
Yeah.
Just the circumstances they found themselves in, they had to step in.
When we're talking about the impact of the DDEP on the banks, we saw variations in terms of the level of exposure from one bank to the other. And we made the point that the central bank overexposed itself to the government. That is a decision of the central bank. In the wisdom of parliament, they set a limit of deficit financing to 5%. This was way abused. Okay, so we are talking about principle, we are talking about the law. We are also talking about the lack of transparency and disclosure around all this excessive financing, which is now a matter of public debate or is now a public evidence. Remember, early part of 2022, when this issue was raised, it was denied. But it wasn't so difficult because we knew it was just a matter of time and the truth will be out there, especially when the government, at the end of the day, made a call to the IMF on 1st July 2022. We knew it was just a matter of time and light will be shown around all of this. And therefore, the evidence is what we are talking about today. So what we are saying is that we have worked so hard over the years in fighting for the operational independence of the central bank. And if you look at the way the accommodating nature of the central bank, which enables fiscal slippages to go on the way we have seen, in itself doesn't help the effectiveness of the monetary policy that the central bank was doing
I need to ask this.
In bringing inflation down to engineer growth.
You've talked about the independence of the central bank. Realistically, you expect the central bank to say to the government when they came to it, talking about the haircut that it took, 50%, etc., that I'm sorry, we can't do that. Is that a realistic proposition?
No, the point is that, look at it this way. The central bank should have seen this long ago. The central bank should have seen this coming.
And done what?
And taken steps, okay, to limit its exposure. You see, and if it gets to the point and you realize that, you know what, the pressure on me, I cannot, you step down.
When you say step down, what do you mean?
The governor. The point is that, you see, we can justify this and explain this, but we are setting the precedence. We are setting the precedence. And then also, if you look at the level of losses that the central bank has taken, the implication for the moral authority of the central bank and how stakeholders will view the central bank, I think we could have done better to limit that exposure.
Let me ask a simple question. Do you, however, concede that their intervention, no matter how ill-conceived it was, or they possibly been failed, as you've suggested, to forecast and take preemptive measures, however, saved the economy from complete collapse? Do you accept that at all?
We had options from the fiscal side. Evans, it wasn't as though we had no other option except this. We had said this long ago that we needed the fiscal side to respond appropriately. So for the central bank to have stepped in the way they did, yes, we can explain that, of course. Probably if they hadn't done that, there would have been full-blown economic crisis and all of that. But you see, the extent to which the central bank exposed itself raises serious questions. And I think that we will probably need some independent body to investigate all of this and make proposals and reforms going forward, right? It's very, very important because you see, as a lender of last resort, you don't render it to this extent. The leadership of the central bank had that obligation to preserve that. And I think that wasn't done.
I want to bring in Setekpe into this. Setekpe, on that same point,